YouTube? Otaku here. We're going to be getting back into page 301 of the Grapes of Wrath. Before we begin, of course, if you've been onto this page before, let's go ahead and start the eucalyptus inhalation ritual. If you haven't been here before, please go to my channel description to get a better idea of what this channel is for and who it's for. Before we begin, thank you very much for clicking onto this channel. I'll be your personal narrator, Otaku Nation. Let's just call me Otaku for short, alright? Clink, clink, clink. So, the Jolds made it. We did it. We got past all the crazies, and we made it somewhere safe. We made it past the desert. We got somewhere safe. We made it past the jerks. We got somewhere safe. Thank you, God. It is very important that this family sticks together for as much as they can. We lost Connie. We lost Grandma. We lost Grandpa. We lost anybody else? Yeah, Noah. We lost Noah because he just walked off. So sad. We lost, the preacher. Though I am going to be honest with you, I was cheating. I snuck a little bit ahead. I swore I read that we'd get the preacher back. So let's go find out today. Thank you very much for joining me. Let's begin. Oh, yeah, one more thing before we start. Make sure you have waters. Sadly, I do not have what I'm speaking of, so I'm not a very good guru. I apologize. All right, let's begin. Now, got any money? Little bit. You ain't destitute? Got a little. Why? Question mark. Well, the campsite cost $1. But you could work it on carrying garbage, keeping the camp clean, stuff like that. We'll work it out, said Tom. You'll see the committee tomorrow. They'll show you how to use the camp and tell you the rules. Tom said, well, what is this? Question mark. What committee is this anyways? The watchman settled himself back. Works pretty nice. There's 5 sanitary units. Each one elects a central committee man. Now, the committee makes the laws. What they say goes. These just sound like an alternate version to the Homeowners Association. Okay. Suppose they get tough, Tom said. Well, you could vote them out just as quick as you vote them in. They've done a fine job. Tell you what they do. You know the holy roller preachers all the time? Find that... I screwed that up, I apologize. You know the holy roller preachers all the time follow the people around, preaching and taking up collections? Well, they wanted to preach in this camp, and a lot of older folks wanted them. So it was up to the central committee. They went into meetings, and here's how they fixed it. They said, any preacher could preach in this here camp. Nobody could take up a collection in this camp. And it was kind of sad for the old folks, because they hadn't been a preacher in since. Tom laughed, and then he asked, you mean to say that a fella that runs a camp is just fellas camping here? Sure, and it works. You said something about cops? Central committees are order and make rules around here. Then there's the ladies. They'll call in on your mom. They keep care of the kids and look after the sanitary units. If your mom isn't working, she'll look after the kids for the ones that are working. And when she gets a job, why, there'll be others. They sew, and the nurses come out and teach them all kinds of stuff like that. You mean to say there ain't no cops around here? Question mark. No, sir. No cops come in here without a warrant. Well, suppose a fella is just mean or drunk or quarrelsome. What then? Question mark. The watchman stabbed the blotter with the pencil. Well, the first time the committee warns him. Then the second time they really warn him. The third time they kick him out of the camp. God almighty, I can hardly believe it. Tonight the deputies and them fellas with the little caps, they burned the camp out of the river. They don't get in here, the watchman said. Some night the boys patrol the fences, especially dancing nights. Dancing nights? Question mark. Jesus Christ! Exclamation point. We got the best dances in the country every Saturday night. Well, for Christ's sakes, we ain't gonna be here. No, I haven't changed characters. This is still the same character. Hold on. We got the best dances in the country every Saturday night. Well, for Christ's sakes, where there ain't more places like this. Wait. That was Tom who spoke of that. Goodness. We got the best dances here in country every Saturday night. Well, for Christ's sakes, why aren't there more places like this? The watchman looked sullenly. You'll have to find that out yourself. Go get some rest. Good night, said Tom. Mom's gonna like this place. She ain't been treated decent for a long time. Good night, the watchman said. Get some sleep. This camp will wake you up early. Tom walked down the street beside the rows of tents. His eyes grew used to the starlight. He saw that the rows were straight, and there were no litter about the camps. The ground of the streets had been swept and sparkled. Oh, that's nice. From the tents came the snores of sleeping people. The whole camp buzzed and snored. Tom walked slowly. He neared number 4's sanitary unit. I keep wanting to say sanctuary unit, like really bad. And he looked at it curiously. An unpainted building, low and rough, under a roof but open at the sides. The rows of wash trays. He saw the Joel truck standing nearby and went quietly towards it. The tarpaulin was pitched and the camp was quiet. As he drew near, a figure moved from the shadows of the truck and came towards him. I just woke up too. I have no idea why I'm yawning. Anyways. Maul said softly, "That you, Tom?" "Yeah?" "Shh," she said. "They're all asleep. They was tired out." "You ought to be asleep too, Ma," Tom said. "Well, I wanted to see you. Is that all right? "It's nice," Tom said. "I ain't gonna tell you. They'll tell you all in the morning. You're gonna love it here." She whispered, "I heard they got hot water." "Yeah. Now you get some rest. I don't know when you slept. I don't know when you slept last, Ma." She begged. "Why ain't you gonna tell me? Question mark. "I ain't. You'll hear it from the people. Get some rest." Suddenly, she was girlish. "How can I sleep without thinking about what you ain't gonna tell me, "No, you don't, no. Tom said. "First thing in the morning, you get on the other dress and then you'll find out." "I can't sleep with nothing like that hanging over me." "You got to." I want to impersonate Tom right now, so I have to get that cough. You got to. You just got to, Ma. Come on. He patted her back. "Good night," Ma said softly. She bent down and slipped under the tarpaulin, going to bed. Tom climbed up over the trail board of the truck. He lay down on his back on the wooden floor, and he pillowed his head on his crossed hands, and his forearms pressed against his eyes. The nights grew colder. Tom buttoned his coat over his chest and settled back again. The stars were clear and sharp over his head. It was still dark when he awakened. A small clashing noise brought him up from sleep. Tom listened and heard again the speak of iron on iron. He moved stiffly and shivered in the morning air. The camp still slept. Tom stood up and looked over the side of the truck. The eastern mountains were blue-black, and as he watched, the light stood up faintly behind them, colored at the mountain rims with a washed red, then grew colder, grayer, darker, as it went overhead until a place near the western horizon is merged with pure night. Down in the valley, the earth was the lavender gray of dawn. That was a really nice freaking line, huh? Dawn in the valley, the earth was the lavender gray of dawn. The clash of irons sounded again. Tom looked down the line of tents over a little lighter gray than the ground. Beside a tent, he saw a flash of orange fire seeping from the cracks of an old iron stove. Gray smoke spurted up from a stubby smoke pipe. Alright, we're at the last paragraph of page 303. I want to go ahead and get a little smoking super quick. Yeah, we're learning about this place. Maul's finally happy, thank God. Everybody's sleeping, thank God. Tom's not arrested, thank God. And you know what's so funny? Maybe we could get the preacher convinced to preach here. I don't know, but it sounds nice. I hope we really get the preacher back. I got your waters, drink them. If not, that was weird. If not, don't worry about it. Alright, page 303, The Grapes of Wrath. Tom climbed over the truck side and dropped to the ground. He moved slowly towards the stove. He saw the girl working about the stove, saw that she carried a baby on her crooked arm, and that the baby was nursing its head up under the girl's shirtwaist, and the girl moved about, poking the fire, shifting the rusty stove lids to make a better draft, opening the oven door, and at the time the baby sucked, and the mother shifted it deftly, D-E-F-T-L-Y, from arm to arm. The baby, page 304, didn't interfere with her work or with the quick gracefulness of her movements. That the orange light licked out of the stove cracks and threw flickering reflections on the tent. Tom moved closer. He smelled frying bacon and baking bread. From the east, the light grew swiftly. Tom came near to the stove and stretched out his hands to it. The girl looked at him and nodded, so that her two braids jerked. Good morning, she said, and she turned the bacon in the pan. That was a lovely female voice I just pulled off. I don't know. The 10 flaps jerked up, and a young Adam came out, and an older man followed him. They were dressed in new blue dungarees, and the dungaree coats, stiff with filler, the brass buttons shining. They were sharp-faced men, and they looked much alike. The younger man with the dark stubble beard and the older man with the white stubble beard, their heads and faces were wet. Their hair dripped, water stood in drops on their stiff beards. Their cheeks shone with dampness. Together they stood looking quietly in the lightning east. Yeah, the lightning east. Is that lightning or lightning? I'm tripping. They yawned together and watched the light on the hill rims. And then they turned and saw Tom. Oh, God. Let these niggas not be problems. Morning, the older man said, and his face was neither friendly nor unfriendly. So let's try that again. Morning, said Tom. And morning, said the young man. The water slowly dried on their faces. They came to the stove and warmed their hands at it. The girl kept at her work. Once she set the baby down and tied her braids together and back with a string, and the two braids jerked and swung as she worked. She set tin cups on a big packing box, set tin plates and knives and forks out. Then she scooped bacon from the deep grease and laid it on a tin platter. And the bacon crackled and rustled as it grew crisp. She opened the rusty oven door and took out a square full of big, high biscuits. I love this story. When the smell of the bacon struck the air, both of the men inhaled deeply. The young man went, "Christ!" softly. Now the older man said to Tom, "Had you any breakfast?" Question mark. "Well, no, I ain't. But my folks over there, they ain't up either. Need the sleep." "Well, sit down with us then. We got plenty. Thank God." It's the older man talking. "Why, thank you," Tom said. "Smells so darn good I couldn't say no." "Don't you?" the younger man said. "Ever smelled anything so good in your life?" They marched to the packing box and squatted around it. "Working around here?" the young man asked. "Aim to," said Tom. "We just got in last night. Ain't no chance to go looking around just yet." "We had 12 days' work," said the young man. The girl working by the stove said, "They even got us new clothes." Both men looked down at their blue, stiff clothing, and they smiled a little shyly. The girl set out the platter of bacon and the brown, high biscuits and a bowl of bacon gravy and a pot of coffee. Whoa. Now this... Hold on, let me get rid of that little... Now this is luxury. Went back a page, apologies. Did we? Good, yeah, I'm tripping. We had 12 days work. You were working on the stove, and then new clothes, both of them shy. The high biscuits and a bowl of bacon gravy and a pot of coffee. And then she squatted down by the box too. The baby still nursed his head under the girl's shirtwaist. They filled their plates, poured bacon gravy over the biscuits, and sugared their coffee. The older man filled his mouth full, and he chewed and gulped and swallowed. "God almighty, so good." As he filled his mouth up again, the younger man said, "We've been eating good for 12 days now. Never missed a meal in 12 days. None of us. Working and getting our pay, you need?" He fell to again, almost frantically, and refilled his plate. They drank the scalding coffee and threw the ground to the earth, and filled their cups again. There was color in the light now, a reddish glim. The father and son stopped eating, so they were father and son. I should have figured. They were facing to the east, and their faces were lightened by the dawn. The image of the mountains and the light coming over was still reflected in their eyes. And then they threw the grounds from their cups to the earth, and they stood up together. "Got to get going," the old man said. The younger man turned to Tom. "Looky," he said. "We laid some pipes today. If you want to come walk over with us, maybe we could get you on." Tom said, "Well, that's mighty nice of you. I'd sure thank you for the breakfast." "Glad to have you," that was the younger man's voice, but "glad to have you," the old man said. "We'll try to get you to working if you want." "You goddamn right I won't," Tom said. "Just wait a minute. I'll tell my folks." He hurried to the Joel tent and bent over and looked inside. In the gloom under the tarpaulin, he saw the lumps of sleeping figures, but a little movement started among the bedcoats. Ruthie came wrinkling out like a snake. Aw, Ruthie. I haven't forgotten that Ruthie and Whitefield threw up before we left, so they better be okay soon. Wrinkled out like a snake, her hair down over her eyes and her dress wrinkled and twisted. She crawled carefully out and stood out. Her gray eyes were clear and calm from sleep, and the mischief was not in them. Tom moved out from the tent and beckoned her to follow, and when he turned, she looked up at him. "Good Lord, you look grown up," he said. She looked away in sudden embarrassment. "Listen here," said Tom. "Don't you wake nobody up. When they do get up..." Hi, Dad. Alright, so while that relative is passing by, I'm going to smoke right fast. This is just wonderful. This is like best case scenario. I'm actually super freaking happy for them. So make sure I'm back on the page. I really should have called the page out before. Okay, yeah, I found it. Oh, we're at page 306. Smoke super quick. Alright, we're at 21 minutes. I'm sure you can finish 1 or 2 pages before the 25. Took this nug, right, and like shove it into like this dab container. It's like this little tiny one, and it packs it in there really freaking good. Like by the time I'm pulling butt and stuff in there, like this freaking nug right here was packed in there with like 4 different nugs, and just breaking it down right now, these little like shards at the end are just big old fat. Like once you break them down, they like expand. They're like waiting to expand. Well, I still got like a solid 3 bowls in that one little nug. Alright, let's continue. Make sure fires put out so the blood don't burn. Page 306, The Great The Wrath. Alright. Don't wake nobody up. When they do get up, you tell them I got a chance at a job and I'm going for it. Tell Ma I ate breakfast with some neighbors. You hear that, Ruthie? Ruthie nodded, turned her head away, and then her eyes were little girl eyes again. "Don't you wake them up," Tom cautioned. He hurried back to his friends, and Ruthie cautiously approached the sanitary unit and peeked over the open doorway. The 2 men were waiting when Tom came back. The young woman had dragged a mattress out and put the baby on it while she cleaned up the dishes. Tom said, "I want to tell my folks where I was." Like literally it was like that. "I want to tell my folks where I was." They wasn't awake. The 3 walked down the street between the tents. The camp had begun to come to life, and the new fires the woman worked, slicing meat, kneading the dough. It's like KNEDNADING, kneading with a K. Anyways, the dough of the morning bread, and the men were stirring about the tents and about the automobiles. The sky was rosy now. Such a big caboose. That's right, son. A caboose. Anyways. The sky was rosy now. In front of the office, a lean old man raked the ground carefully. He so dragged the rake at the tin marks with straight and deep lines. "You're out early, Paul," the young man said as he went by. I thought that was going to be Paul. Nope, it wasn't. Yep. Got to make my rent." The 3 went out to the gate. "Rent hell," the young man said. "He was drunk last Saturday night, sung in his tent all night, committee gave him work for it. They ran along the edge of the oiled road. A row of walnut trees grew beside the way. The sun shoved its edge over the mountains. Tom said, "Seems funny. I mean, your food and I ain't told you my name. Not like you ain't mentioned yours. My name's Tom Jold." The old man looked at him, and then he smiled a little. "You ain't been out here long, have you?" "Hell, no, just a couple days." "I knew it. Funny, you got out of the habit of mentioning your name. There's so goddamn many fellas around here. Well, sir, I'm Tommy Wallens, and this here's my little boy, Walkie." Alright, we're going to cut off there. Thank you very much for your time. Take care, reader. I'm not going to smoke this time. Peace.